Staring at a blank page can feel like you're looking into the abyss. But if you break the process down, it can be a whole lot less scary. So today, I'm going to break down 5 steps you can take to go from blank page to full manuscript. Today's tool is a personal favourite of mine, and it's mind maps. So before we start thinking about chapters, before we start thinking about titles, before we start thinking about anything like that, we need to start with one core concept: impact. So we're going to put that in the middle of our mind map. Impact. That is our most important part. From here, we're going to come off 4 times. These are going to be our sections, and we're going to try and work out what are the most important parts of the book to us. So let's take my book, Touch Souls and Change Faces, as an example. I broke mine down into 4 sections. So, my book's about impact. So my 4 sections were articulate, empathise, question, and understanding. From there, we go on to chapter work. We can break this down in many ways. How do you want your book to impact people? I want my book to make people reflect. Okay, so that could be one of your sections. Or if you want your book to inspire people to take some sort of action, that can be one of your sections. It's all about what do you want your book to provoke. Let's use empathise as our example. So we've broken the book down into 4 sections. Simple. We're going to break our whiteboard down into 4 sections. Cool. There's our 4 sections. From here, this is how we're going to start deriving our chapters. So we're going to break it down. And just for now, we're going to go for 4 sections for each chapter. Let's take empathising as our next chapter. So when it comes to empathising, people need to understand themselves, people need to understand others, people need to understand the impact, and people need to understand the resonance. Okay. Now we've got these, we're going to try and work out ways that these all interlink with each other, and this is going to help us work out not only the orders of our chapters, but the flow of our book in general. So, if you're anything like me, I like highlighting, I like colour coding, I like keeping things organised. So, our first section, we've got the self. So let's just circle that and let's try and look at what else relates. What else have we got? Others, okay. Well, that directly relates to listen. What else have we got? We've got the idea of impact. What else have we got? Resonance. Okay. So, in order to have resonance, we're going to have to be able to actually digest what people are talking about. Awesome. Take a picture of this. This is going to help you immensely down the line. This is what mine looked like for Touch Souls and Change Faces. From here, I went on to do one of these mind maps for every individual chapter, breaking down the points I wanted to get across for each of the chapters. And they all got this, every chapter. Then we go on to the next bit, my personal favourite. We take these colours and these colour coding, and we're going to make a run-in of the book. So using what we just did, we had 4 interlining sections of the book. We want our book to be more than 4 chapters. We break it down into subcategories. As I did below, you could see for each chapter, I had 4. I had 4 sections for each of the chapters of the book. These become the chapters of our book. What you call them is not important. Right now, this is just for you, for your understanding. And like we did before, we split them up across the page. Each one of them gets their own breakdown, the things you want to get across, what they relate to, which ones they align with, and which other chapters make the most sense for them to be around. So this is where I brought down one of my chapters. This was called Positive Examples. And from here I gave a positive example, the impact that it had, what it could and couldn't do, and then I went on to how we could read those positive examples from others and how we could have those positive impacts on another. Okay, now we've got our chapters, we've got our placeholding titles, and we know what relates to what. So these all might slightly overlap, but it makes sense for the order that they're in because we have already analysed the impact that we want them to have. So we know what our book does and the sort of expected resonance that we plan to see play out from it. From here is the next best part, when you get to start ticking off chapters. You might not know where to start. Don't bother starting with an introduction. I personally found that the most stressful part of the entire book. Don't bother starting with a conclusion. We're not putting any pretty bows on anything. Right now we're trying to get our manuscript done. Which one of these jumps out at you? It might be the one that has the most overlap between other chapters. It might be the one that doesn't directly relate to any other chapters, but it's stuff that you really want to get across. Start with it. Write. Get your first draft. Put 100 words into it if you have to. Just get the core concepts of that chapter out and tick it off. That might provoke you to go, right, okay, well, we spoke about wealth and that makes a lot of sense, but the wealth chapter has made me understand what I want to say about impact. Write it, 100 words, tick it off. They will all gradually come, until you have a first draft of your book. From there, print it off. Get yourself something tangible to look at. Go through it, take your highlighter, work out bits that don't make sense, bits that you wouldn't want to use, bits that you wouldn't even want your mother to read, and keep going with it. Find the bits that really work. I love that page. It says exactly what I want it to say. Leave it. Keep going until you've gone all the way through your manuscript. Go back, look from the top. Anywhere you found something that you weren't too sure about, go in, add another 100 words. You don't have to take anything out yet. Just add another 100 words that better explain what you were trying to get across. From there, print it out, read it, and do it again until you have what is a fully fledged initial draft that is a complete mess. From there, go in and cull the herd. Take everything out that you don't like, everything that doesn't make sense, everything that doesn't tie together the message you're trying to get across. Now you've got something that's really starting to look like a manuscript. From there, go back to the whiteboard, make another mind map. Key points. What do you want to make sure, no matter what is in this book? Self-love or relationship advice? A good moral, resonant. Key points that you need to make sure are in your manuscript. Go through, read the book, make a tally every time they come up. Are you satisfied with what you have? Does it get across what you need it to get across? Or is it massively overburdened and missing key points? From there, get yourself an editor. Or be willing to put in a lot of hours. But that is my advice of how you can go from a blank page to, at the very least, a rough draft of a full manuscript. I've been Samwell, and that's how I wrote Touch Souls and Change Faces. I hope this helps you get from the overwhelm of a blank page to the absolute joy of holding your first edition of your manuscript. With love, from Samwell.